Grand opening, grand closing. Welcome, my friends, my family, my fellow gamers. Your only friend these YouTube streets, Puerto Rock 77. Let's talk a little bit about Nintendo, you know, game pricing, uh, other platforms like PlayStation 5, Xbox, pretty much how the community gamers react to pricing or to features or to things that we don't like. And with the Switch 2 revealed, it finally solidified something that I think most of us knew all along, but what what is happening, it just pretty much solidifies it, and that we're all hypocrites. We're all hypocrites. At the end of the day, each of us will find value in what we want, and we will be willing to pay what we individually find is valuable. I mean, right now, I think criticisms towards pricing on games, services, and all that stuff, to me, it's gonna fall on deaf ears for me. From this point on, I don't really care to hear about any of that stuff. With Nintendo pricing of their games, with some of them being $80, and they are not trying to do any advancements in the overall gaming industry. They're not pushing new cutting edge technology. They're not even adapting some of the basic stuff that we have, like trophies and achievements. They're not even doing that. We're not even sure how well they're gonna do ray tracing, if they even bother having that. Apparently, it does have ray tracing cores, but who knows if that's even implemented. They're not just doing anything that's pushing gaming forward that would like justify from a production standpoint of charging a game for $80. But from a personal value, some people will be more than perfectly fine paying $80 for a Nintendo first party game because they love it, they enjoy it. The gameplay is everything, the content is everything. They'll find their own reasons to justify the $80 price. And you know what? That's perfectly okay. It is perfectly okay uh, if you are willing to pay $80 for a Nintendo game. That's you. It's your money. I'm not pocket watching. I'm not gonna go spend the rest of the gen, worrying about who buys $80 games for a Nintendo game. That's you. If you enjoy Nintendo games and you're willing to pay $80 for that game, then the game's worth $80. That's it. That's how I'm gonna look at things from now on. If you enjoy the 5090 and you're loving what the 5090 GPU does, then yes, it's worth the $2,500, $3,000 that you paid for, right? Because you paid for it. I'm not paying for it. It's not coming out of my bank account. So whatever comes out of your bank account, then yes, it's worth it. It's worth it for you, right? For me, no. Nintendo games are not $80. It's not worth it for me. Therefore, Nintendo's not gonna get $80 from me. That's just how it is, right? I'll be honest. I'll be more apt to sign up for GameFly and just play the Nintendo games through the rental service. To be honest, at this point, that's just my take on it. That's just how I look at things, right? Paying $450 for the Switch. I'll be honest. I'm not so sure. I'm not sure. I mean, granted, it did do one thing that I expected it, or I didn't expect it to do. All I really was expecting was 1080p 60. So the fact that it's dabbling in 4K and VRR and stuff like that, that's a bonus for me, right? But at 450, I don't know. And that's if assuming it does come out at 450. Nintendo pulled the pre-order to reassess the tariffs. I don't think any company, I think across all industries, not just gaming, I don't think anyone really expected how high the tariff hike would be, on all countries. Nintendo, Sony, they try to anticipate, the tariffs, but I don't think they anticipated the regions and the price. For example, Nintendo apparently shifted production to Vietnam because in Vietnam the tariff hike wasn't as high compared to China. So Nintendo's like, you know what, we're gonna shift priorities to Vietnam, but then Vietnam got hit with a high tariff hike, and it's like Nintendo's like, what do we do? Like, where do we go? The whole world got hit with high prices, or there's really no safe region around the world and stuff. So it's just Sony support apparently doing surging the supply chain. And what I mean by surging, they're like and this is just all nothing confirmed, but any company when they produce something, they kind of it's at a moderate level. They don't go balls to the walls, all out, hit full throttle, and just produce to a huge change. They try to balance it out because they don't want to over flood the supply chain, right? But in this case, apparently Sony increased their manufacturing output just to add a surplus into the supply chain. In other words, they got PlayStation 5 in inventory before the tariff hikes. So there'll be a period, there might be a period where everything's going up except for PlayStation products, but that's only because they flooded the chain. But just like anything else, it'll eventually run out, right? And the price hike's coming. So price hike's coming across the board. But again, I I don't think I'm not gonna be interested in arguing about pricing over anything anymore. It just doesn't matter. Because when it comes to prices or even services or just anything people try to go out and critique, it's really not about the what. It's not about the price. It's not about the feature. It's never about that. It's always been about the who. Prices is wrong depending who does it. Price is right depending on who does it. Feature is wrong depending on who does it. Feature is wrong is great depending on who does it. It's always it's clear that it's more about the who than the what. So I'm not interested in that. The way I see it, if you like it, I love it. You like Nintendo games at $80? I love Nintendo games at $80. I love it for you. In fact, I hope they go $90, $100. I love whatever price you're willing to accept on anything. Not just Nintendo. You like $3,000 GPUs, $4,000 GPUs, then I love $4,000 GPUs. You like $200 controllers? I love $200 controllers. Game Pass goes up to $50 a month. You like it? I love it. I'm just not gonna argue. At the end of the day, if you don't like it, don't buy it. If you like it, buy it. I'm gonna keep it as simple as that. But to really argue about pricing schemes across the board, it's just no point. It's just no point because there's no consistent energy on price hikes or this or that across the board in gaming. That's the only way it works, you know. And with Nintendo, really, like I thought it would have been Rockstar to at least be the one to introduce the first $80 base game with GTA 6. Because I personally feel that's what Rockstar is gonna do. Now I know they're gonna do it. It would be crazy for Rockstar to release GTA 6 at $70, the base one, when Nintendo's selling games at $80. Rockstar's looking at Nintendo like, are you nuts? You're not even doing a fraction of the production that we're doing. Hell, some of the games Nintendo release still won't have voice acting in it. And it's $80? So I know Rockstar. So you might as well accept that. GTA 6, base price $80. Minimum. There's no way Rockstar is going to release their game for $70 with such a huge production value. Yet Mario Kart World is $80. They're not going to allow that. That's already in play. But again, main thing, don't even worry about it. To you guys, I say don't even worry about the pricing. Don't even argue about it no more. There's just no point. Nothing's going to change. People will find value in what they want and they're going to pay for what they find is valuable, right? They may not find PlayStation valuable, so they're going to complain about the price. But they find Nintendo valuable, so they have no problem paying $80. And vice versa. That's just how it is. So I'm just going to leave it at that. All right? But anyway, stay tuned. Tuesday, 60 Frames No Like Podcast is back with the crew. We're going to talk about all these topics, right? And check out my latest live. Here, you should be seeing 2 cards. You can see my playlist, especially if you're new to the channel. You could catch up on some content. So go click on the cards and check out my stuff. Thank you for being here. All right? You guys take care. Peace.
Grand opening, grand closing.